Hi everybody! In this video we're going to have a look at exceptions to the last lexical item rule. There are several exceptions. Number 1, old information. Number 2, repetition of synonyms. Number 3, context. Number 4, empty words. And number 5, contrastive stress. We'll look at each of them in detail now. But let's remind ourselves first about this rule. What is the last lexical item rule? The rule says that the main stress falls on the last lexical item in a tone unit. And remember, a lexical item is also a content word. If you want to find out more about this rule, watch my full video on the last lexical item rule. Now there is a disclaimer though to this rule. It says here that the main stress falls on the last lexical item in a tone unit unless the speaker wants to change the neutral or unmarked meaning of the sentence. So what reason could there be? Number 1, old information. This is a really common exception why the last lexical item will not be stressed. What is old information? That is information that is already known to the speaker and listener. So here the rule is that there's no stress on repeated content words because old information is not stressed. So the stress needs to be on a new lexical item. Let's have a look at an example. The best cake is chocolate cake. Cake is the last content word or the last lexical item. However, this is old information. Why? Because we already spoke about cake in the sentence. The best cake is chocolate cake. So chocolate is the real last content word. The nucleus is on chocolate, not on cake. And then of course, chocolate has 2 syllables and the main stress would be on the first. So the nucleus is not on the last lexical item because the information is old, not new. We talked already about it before. Here are some more examples. The show is about food, more specifically Asian food. Asian is the last new content word, not food. Why? Because we mentioned food already before. The show is about food. So, more specifically, Asian food. Asian is the last new content word. Here is another example. I would never go to the zoo, let alone pay to go. The last new content word, or the last new lexical item, is pay, not go. Why? Because we mentioned go in the first part already. I would never go to the zoo, let alone pay to go. Pay is the last new content word. So, repetitions, that means old information, are not stressed. This brings us to our second exception, synonyms, because the rule for old information is also true if the repeated word has been exchanged for a synonym or a near-synonym. These are also not emphasized. Here is an example. There were a lot of people at the football game. The police had a hard time managing the crowd. In the last sentence, crowd is the last content word or the last lexical item. But it's a near synonym. A lot of people is the same as a crowd. And we mentioned already a lot of people. So crowd is a near synonym here. The real last content word, therefore, is managing. This is the last new content word, and this is where the stress falls. The police had a hard time managing the crowd. So the new nucleus is on managing, not crowd. Here is another example. He gave her a bouquet of roses, her favorite flowers. Flowers, again, is the last content word, but it's a near synonym. A bouquet of roses, well, that's the same as flowers. So the last new content word here is favorite. Her favorite flowers. One more example. She won the lottery. Unfortunately, I've never had so much luck. Luck is the last content word. However, it is also kind of a near synonym, because winning the lottery, well, that's pretty lucky. We know that that is luck. So the last new content word is had. I've never had so much luck. Or possibly also never. I've never had so much luck. That depends a little bit on where the speaker wants to place the stress. Sometimes the word does not need to have been mentioned before to be considered old information. This brings us to exception 3, context. Because the context tells us already. It is general knowledge. Let's have a look at an example from a dialogue between two people. One person says, "I had to go to the principal today." Now, the principal, that tells us, well, this is the context of school life. And for those of you who are more used to British English, a principal is the same as a headmaster. Now, we all know that if you have to go to the principal in school, well, that usually means trouble. You're in trouble. It's nothing pleasant. This is common knowledge. So the first person said, "I had to go to the principal today." And the other person replies, "Why? You never do anything bad." Bad is the last content word. But it's generally known that this is bad news if you have to go to the principal. So the last new content word is anything. And we would put the stress on any. Why? You never do anything bad. Exception 4, empty words. Those are words that have very low semantic content. What does that mean? Let's have a look at examples. People, thing, things, stuff, place, that woman, this guy. Those are all considered empty words with low semantic content. Here are some examples. He just does it to annoy people. Again, people, yes, it's the last content word. However, it is considered an empty word. So the last real content word is annoy. He just does it to annoy people. Here is another example. I love that place. A place is the last content word, but it's an empty word. So the real last content word is love. I love that place. One more example. You have to work for things. Things is the last lexical item, but again, it's an empty word. So the real last content word is work. You have to work for things. Exception 5. Contrastive stress. Contrastive stress means that when we move the normal stress to change the meaning. Here is an example. She bought the coat. In the unmarked version, coat is the last content word and would be stressed. However, if we want to change the unmarked meaning of the sentence, we could move the stress to bought. She bought the coat. What we try to tell the listener here is that she paid for it. She didn't just take it or steal it. She bought the coat. This is called contrastive stress, and one of the reasons why the last lexical item might not be stressed. We could even move the stress to she, the pronoun and subject of the sentence. She bought the coat, meaning it was her, the tall lady with the blue eyes, not the short one. If you want to find out more about contrastive stress, watch my extra video on my channel. Do you still have any questions about the last lexical item rule and the exceptions? Leave a comment below.